My dinner. I gained some weight while staying at home during the COVID-19 pandemic, but this is my new weight control diet. Fresh vegetables and tofu soup lightly seasoned with salt only. I'm not doing food videos, so I'm not going to say this is so amazing like the first glimmering rays of sunlight in the morning. I should admit, it tastes plain and is a bit boring, but not bad though. Zev calls it vegan black broth, even though my soup is not black. He is making an analogy to the Spartan Black Broth, which were served at Spartan mess halls. I once heard people say one would not fear of death if one had to eat black broth all day. Obviously, this is an exaggeration, but I think it tries to explain why Spartan warriors were bred for battle. The original recipe of Spartan black broth has been lost, but it's said that the black broth was primarily made of animal blood, barley flour, salt, and vinegar. It's actually a good source of nutrients, supplying protein, fiber, and vitamins. Yet it was described as an unappetizing broth, so that the Spartan warriors would not indulge with delicious foods and be able to remain vigilant. I believe it also signifies that the Spartan warriors were legendary drinkers of blood soup. Talking about Spartans, last night Zev told me the story of Plague of Athens, which broke out in Athens of ancient Greece back in 430 BC. At that time, the leader of the Athenians was Pericles. Pericles' name in Greece means surrounded by glory. It was said that a couple days before his birth, his mother dreamed that she would give birth to a lion, signifying future greatness. It is interesting that in both the East and West, dream interpretations played a role in justifying or reinforcing the governance of political leaders. In ancient China, it's documented that mothers of some emperors dreamed of a dragon or sun before an emperor's birth. Like what Pericles' mother dreamed, Pericles fostered the golden period in ancient Greek history known as the Age of Pericles. He promoted art, literature, and democracy. The philosophers Plato and Socrates, historians Herodotus and Thucydides, and the physician Hippocrates all lived during the age of Pericles. The Parthenon was also built during that time. Well, while I was pondering this golden age, Zev cleared his throat and said, "It probably won't be certified by #MeToo because the ancient Athenian democracy was limited to adult male citizens. It did not cover females, slaves, or foreigners." Pericles also proposed a law that only those whose parents on both sides were Athenians could claim citizenship. This made one of his sons, Pericles the Younger, illegitimate because his mother was non-Athenian. In 431 BC, the 30 years peace treaty between Athens and Sparta broke down with the Second Peloponnesian War. The actual cause of the war remains unknown, with some suggesting that Athens incited war to spread Athenian democracy, while others held that Sparta grew wary of Athenian economic growth. Anticipating Sparta's aggression and keenly aware of military strategy, Pericles ordered all Athenian citizens to retreat from the surrounding countryside and find refuge behind the city walls. Although Sparta was militarily superior on land, the Athenians had a stronger navy and hoped to win a battle of attrition by supporting their economy through their control of ports and harbors, thereby allowing for continued economic prosperity while under siege. With hindsight, this strategy was later criticized. However, at that time, the evacuation was in line with a similar successful strategy 50 years prior. During the Greek War with Persia, which effectively saved most Athenians by evacuating them to an island. Throughout the first year of the Second Peloponnesian War, the Athenian strategy was successful, and Athens held out against Sparta, defending their besieged cities and launching counter-naval attacks. However, the following year the city was devastated with an epidemic, likely perpetuated by overcrowding and poor sanitation. Now referred to as the Plague of Athens, the contemporary Athenian historian Thucydides described the clinical features of this disease as such: violent heat in the head, redness and inflammation of the eyes, throat and tongue quickly suffused with blood. Historians are uncertain of the cause of Plague of Athens, with theories ranging from smallpox, measles, anthrax, toxic shock syndrome from Staphylococcus aureus, typhoid fever, typhus, bubonic plague, and ergotism. One interesting candidate is Ebola, or another RNA virus that could cause hemorrhagic fever, but would be difficult to detect by paleoepidemiologists, owing to the relative chemical instability of RNA virus. The effects of the plague were dramatic. It is estimated up to 2/3 of those in the city died. The turmoil and despair brought on by the plague undermined Pericles' leadership. His internal rivals took this opportunity to attack him. He underwent a trial for misappropriation of public money and was temporarily suspended from his generalship. Tragically, Pericles witnessed the death of his 2 legitimate sons in plague, but he regained the public's favor and was resummoned to the War Office and re-elected as the ruler in 429 BC. Less than a year later, he also died from the plague. The only positive effect for the Athenian war effort probably was the Spartans were hesitant to attack the city during the peak of the plague for fear of contracting the disease. Although the Peloponnesian War continued on and off for the next 26 years, The plague of Athens was a major factor in turning the tide of war to the Spartan side. Another positive effect may also have been the rise of Hippocrates' theory of disease. Although there is limited convincing evidence, some have suggested that Hippocrates, known as the father of medicine, cured Athenians with fire. Then all I can recall is that Zev became excited about the medical and scientific contributions of ancient Greece and this new epoch of medicine. I felt that my eyelids were becoming heavier and heavier. I could still hear him talking his magnetic voice, but my brain stopped translating any messages he delivered. Without knowledge how much time had passed, I felt a sudden jerk of my legs. Zev's voice suddenly became very clear, and then I drifted away farther and farther, as if my body was as light as a feather, slowly floating into the universe.